Houseplants friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about really weird ways to propagate houseplants. This is a video request from one of my patrons, Carter. Part of his tier is that he gets to choose one video a month for me to make on my video. If that sounds fun to you, you guys can check out my Patreon. There are a bunch of other tiers. It's really up to you. And before we get into this video, please make sure to like, subscribe. Maybe you've been binge watching my videos and you just forgot to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the community. Let's just jump into the video. Okay, so the weirdest way that I have seen to propagate houseplants is Orbeez. That is right, those little teeny tiny balls that when you get wet, they inflate and they become these big fun things to play with when you're a kid. Orbeez. I have seen people do this and it works somehow. They treat it like almost, it's like a semi-hydro where they just keep barely any water in it and the moisture from the Orbeez alone is what keeps hydrating the plant. I've never tried this. I thought about actually trying all these methods, but the thing is that my plants are kind of decimated right now. Like I took a lot of propagations very recently and I'm looking at all my prop boxes on the floor. I don't really have the ability to take more propagations right now, but I will definitely be trying to propagate a plant in Orbeez at some point because that sounds like a lot of fun. Next weirdest way I've seen to propagate houseplants is in Floral Foam, which is the thing that it's that green block that kind of crumbles when you push on it, and you can stick flowers into it and it'll keep them wet and moist. This is like the worst thing I've ever seen people propagate in because I've bought a plant before that was grown in Floral Foam, and when you have to repot it, getting the foam out of the roots is basically impossible. It is the worst. Like I decimated so many roots because I couldn't get, like I was ripping them out on accident because of the foam. So this is a really weird way to propagate. I've seen a lot of people do it. Usually they use it in lieu of those like little propagation foam things, the ones that they're like little sponges. You open them up and you put the plant in and you close it, and then that's how people propagate it. That's how you should do it. Don't use Floral Foam. But let's say that you're in a pinch. Let's say that you're in a pinch, you propagated something, you have nothing to keep the plant, like you're out of your propagation materials and you just happen to have Floral Foam laying around. Sure, for a little bit that would probably work, but don't let your plant grow in Floral Foam, please. At least take it out. The next weird way I've seen people propagate their houseplants is full hydro, and then they just don't take their plants out of it. My mom has done this. She has, and I'll put a picture in here, a full hydro philodendron atabapoense, which has been in there since last summer. So it has been over a year of this plant growing in full hydro. No leca, no nothing, just in water. It's a water philodendron, I guess. But yeah, if you have no propagation materials and you've taken a propagation and you just forgot to buy more propagation materials, you can always stick your plant in water. I used to water propagate until recently. I switched to perlite propagation, but water propagating works, but you are going to run into problems with getting your plant enough nutrients if you keep your plant in water. The next weird way I have seen people propagate their houseplants is by resting it on a sponge because they just ran out of propagation materials. They didn't want to do water. They propagated a Hoya and they just kind of left it on top of a wet sponge to keep the plant wet. It's real creative. The next way I've seen people do this is how Carter himself got creative the other day to propagate some trailing Hoya curtisii, in which he got a saucer of a terracotta saucer. He filled it up with a little bit of water and then rested his curtisii on top of the water in the terracotta saucer, and it worked. So plants want to live, like they'll find a will to live. You guys can propagate your plants almost anyway and it'll probably be fine. The next way, which is a way that I have propagated plants before, and I will actually do a little insert here, is paper towel in a baggie. This is a plant this is a little normal form Adansonii that my mom gave to me. She's been growing it in water for quite a long time. She brought it out here when I was getting married, and she brought the plant in a paper towel and a baggie. and I have been growing it in that baggie for the last 3 months. It hasn't come out, I haven't repotted it. I'm about to repot it, but I haven't yet. So yep, a wet paper towel in a baggie and let the leaves stick out the top, and you're good. Now let's talk about propagating materials. The worst way that I have seen people propagate their plant is by ripping, because for some reason they don't have a scissor or a knife or pruners available to them, so they just full on rip the plant off, or they try to. I do not recommend this because you will inflict more damage and stress onto your plant than is needed. But I mean, if you're in a pinch and you're like friends over and they want a cutting of something and you don't have anything around and it's like something easy to rip, I guess. But I really would not recommend ripping your plants. The next weird way I have seen someone propagate something is by saw. Sawing a plant in half because you didn't have pruners big enough. This is a very odd one, and one I would love to try someday personally, because that sounds fun. That sounds, you know, you're just going back and forth, getting it cut in half with a saw. I don't know, that sounds like a fun time to me. The next way I have seen people do it is how I do it myself, which is with scissors. I use often, these are sewing scissors that you use to cut thread. I have used this very often to cut plants, and also bigger sewing scissors. My friend Harley, who you guys all know, she uses little kid safety scissors to propagate her plants. I've seen them myself. They're very cute. Anything's better than ripping, so just don't rip your plants. The next weird way I have seen people propagate their houseplants is by steak knife or butcher knife or butter knife. Any of these like knife options are people couldn't find their scissors anywhere, they didn't want to rip it, they don't own pruners. I myself have propagated using a butter knife. Never a butcher knife, but I know that someone out there has done it, because why not? But yeah, that is a weird way that I've seen people do it. And honestly, when it gets down to it, all of these ways are completely valid for propagating your plants, as long as you can safely and securely propagate your plant without ripping it. Then it's all good. A lot of people that I do know wow, I don't know what I'm saying. Oh my god. A way that I know a lot of people, especially in my own life, propagate their plants is by scissor, and then they use a very sharp, clean, sterilized razor to give it a clean cut at the bottom to make sure that the plant is nice, sterile, and going to be happy with that cut, that it's not going to rot, we're gonna get any bacteria out of there. And that and pruners that have also been sterilized are very clearly the best way. And then the best way I have seen to propagate plants is water and semi-hydroperlite and moss. So I hope that this video was kind of fun and amusing to see some really weird ways to propagate houseplants. Thank you so much, Carter, for the suggestion. And please, you guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and tweet me at PlayMeAshley. Follow me on Instagram at PlayMeAshley, and please support me on Patreon at PlayMeAshley. We have a bunch of different tiers, a bunch of different fun people in the community, and I hope that we will see you there. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next houseplant section. Goodbye!